day 4 session, we will learn about the function, scope, and recursion in Python. So, what is functions in Python? So, Python function is a block of statements that return the specific task. So, the idea is to put some commonly or repeatedly done tasks together and make a function so that instead of writing the same code again and again for different inputs, we can do the function calls to reuse the code contained in it over and over again. So some benefits of using these kind of functions are it will increase the code readability and code reusability. So once we create the function, we can use it again and again wherever we want. So this is the main advantage of function. So these functions help avoid code repetition and makes the programs modular, readable, and also simplified. So this function, the syntax of the function is given here. So the function is declared like using the def keyword. Def is define. So def keyword, we can define a function in Python. So we can add any type of functionalities or properties to it as we require. So by using the def function, we can create the function name. So after creating a function in Python, we can call it by using the name of function Python followed by the parenthesis containing the parameters. So uh, parameters are the variables that we use to define the function name. So function name, code block, then return value. So if you want to return the output value, you can use the return command. So this is an optional one. And you can, so the example for a function is given. So for example, we have diff greet of name. So name is a variable here for the given function. So print f of hello name. So this function is defined. So wherever you use this function, this will print the statement as hello name. So greet Alice. This will print as hello Alice, and greet Bob will print as hello Bob. So not each and every time we need to type the print statement. So that's the main aim of function. So once we define the statement in the function block, it will be used again and again. So each and every time we need not to create the same statement. So what are parameters or arguments? So these two are the important things that we have to keep in mind while dealing with the function. So parameters are the variables that are declared in the function definition, and arguments are the values passed inside the parentheses of the function. So here a function can have any number of arguments. Those arguments should be separated by a comma. So here in the given example, we have parameters A and B. Okay, so these A and B are called as the parameters, and arguments are the values that are passed to the function. That is, for example, here it is given as 5 and 10. So these are the arguments. So functions can have multiple parameters or multiple arguments. So when coming to the arguments, there are different types of arguments such as default argument, keyword argument, positional argument, and arbitrary arguments. So depending upon the program requirement, we can use any type of arguments. So for example, if it is a default argument, means it is a parameter that assumes a default value. So if value is not provided in the function call for that argument, we can have a default value. Such kind of argument is called as a default argument. And also there are other type named as keyword arguments. So this is to allow the caller to specify the argument name. So that is a keyword that is given. So that keyword, that type of arguments are called keyword arguments, and also position arguments. That is whether it has to be used as a first or second value, that is called as position argument, and also arbitrary keyword. So in arbitrary keyword, so we can pass a variable number of arguments to a function using special symbols. So special characters will be allowed in arbitrary keyword arguments. So these are some of the types of arguments and function parameters. So in the given examples, it is given a program to add two numbers using the function call. So here the function is add numbers, that is defined as def add numbers a comma b, and the function is result is equal to a plus b. So return the result. If needed, you can return the result. So how to call the function is sum result equal to add numbers. You can just call the function by using the command add numbers. You need not print the sum operator, mathematical operator again. You can just call the function add numbers 5 comma 10. It will give the result to you. So that we will see in a Python editor. So I'll open a new file, save as function. So I'm writing a program to add two numbers using functions. So add numbers, and the parameters are a comma b colon. So after the next statement should be indented. So result is equal to a plus b, return the value of result. So this is my function block, and now I'm going to call the block. So sum is equal to add numbers of, I'm giving my values here. So 10 comma 25, print f of the sum is sum. Execute the program. So sum is 35. 10 plus 25 is 35. So in this way, we can execute you can define a function and you can call it wherever required. So in a larger program, you can have addition of numbers at any places. So in those places, you can just call this function for addition of numbers. You need not type this again and again. So types of function, there are mainly two types of function. One is a void function, another one is a value returning function. So void function, from the name itself, you can understand that it will not return any value. So it will just perform a task but do not return a value. So you can define a function like this. So print message of no parameters, no arguments inside. So print, this is a void function. So this is an example for a void function. And value returning function means it will perform a task and it also returns a value. So here define square of a number. You have to find the square of a number. So return number into number. So it will return some particular value. So this is called as value returning functions. So next is scope. Scope is also an important parameter in defining a function. So here the scope refers to the variable that can be accessed. So as you see here, it is a variable that is available inside or outside the function block. That is called as a scope. So there are two types of scopes. One is a global scope, another one is local scope. So if the variable is defined outside the function, that is called as a global scope. So this variable is created in the main body of the Python code, and it belongs to the global scope. So these global variables are available from within any scope, global and local. So and the local scope is the variable that is created inside the function belong to the local scope, and it can be used only inside that function. So I have given an example for global and local variable. So here this x is equal to 10 is defined outside the functional block. So it is called as a global variable and it can be used anywhere throughout the program. So this is a global variable. So and here I am defining the functional block. So define print number of parenthesis y is equal to 5. So here this variable is declared inside the functional block. So it is a local variable and this variable is used only inside the function. So this is called as a local variable. So print f local y value and global x value. So print number of print y. So this y is outside, this y comes outside the functional block. So when you type this program, you will receive an error that y is not defined outside the function. So only inside the functional block it will be getting executed. So this is about scope, global and local variable scope. And the third thing is recursion. So recursion is a process of defining something in terms of itself. So it is a process in which the function calls itself directly or indirectly. Okay, so this recursive function means calling the same function again and again by itself. So here this recursive is useful in these things, like a complicated function can be split into smaller subproblems using this recursion. And also sequence creation is simpler through recursion and than utilizing any nested iterations. And as you see here, recursive function render the code look simple and effective. So it will make the code simple, as like a functional block, this recursion block is also makes the code simple. So an example is given for recursive function. So to calculate the factorial of a number, factorial means it will the each and every number will get multiplied. Okay, so that is a factorial. So we will execute this program in a Python editor. So recursion understanding. So I am giving it as a command line. If factorial n, so n is the variable that is going to be passed inside the function. So indented, if n is equal to 0, so if n is 0, it will return the value as 1. Return 1, else return n into factorial of n minus 1. So this is called as a recursive call. This one is a recursive call. Here this factorial call will go back to the function that is defined. So it will call itself. So num is equal to 7, print the factorial of num is factorial num. So here I'm calling the function. So recursion understanding. So define factorial of n. If n equal to 0, it will return 1. Else return n into factorial of n minus 1. So once this is given, it will call itself. It will go to the define block and it will call itself. So now the n value will be reduced and this will get multiplied with the previous n value. So here now it will be n minus 1 and this will get multiplied with n. Again this will go to a call until it becomes 0, until this n becomes 0. So this kind of calling itself is called as recursion. So this is about scope, recursion, and functional blocks. Next we'll have a hands-on on function to find maximum of 3 numbers. Okay, to find the maximum among 3 numbers, develop a function and develop a recursive function to calculate the Fibonacci numbers and create a scope example with nested functions. You can develop programs for these and you can practice the 3 concepts that we have learned today. Thank you.